taking a minute or two to think about three simple fundamentals. You can improve your shirt designs, merch designs, any designs to no end. This video is going to go over the 3 points: hierarchy, clarity, and punch, which I think I always try and apply to my designs, and maybe points you're familiar with if you came from a traditional design background. But if you've sort of stumbled your way here a bit by just, making cool art, and then one friend's band asks you this and another friend's band asks you that, and then all of a sudden you're making shirt designs, maybe there's just a couple of points you can kind of think about when you're designing, and it'll help you to give your designs that extra edge. I've got a bunch of designs behind me here, behind my head. I'll get out of the way. And a few of them adhere to these rules, a few do not. Just to show that you don't always have to do what I'm saying. Who cares what I have to say? Rules are made to be broken. And all that jazz. The traditional shirt design is kind of like my mouse zoom is broken for some reason. It keeps breaking. OBS updates every day, and then it breaks it again. I get everything working nicely, and then they update themselves, and then it doesn't work nicely anymore. So I've arranged my windows all nicely here for us to zoom into each one, and it ain't gonna work. So let's just go back to how it is. So this is one I did recently for mouths. It was a pre-made design I had up, which is these figures in the middle, and they wanted their logo working into it. Their incredible logo by Christoph Spagel, legend in the scene. He's the guy who did the original Emperor logo and all those early black metal logos. He did the Aborted logo, which is sick. Loads of cool bands to his name. So I was super stoked to get this collab going on. And we tried a few different things, and this is what we stuck on. And I think it's a testament to just how strong hierarchy is, in that they chose this version instead of it being at the bottom or anywhere else that we tried. It was typical band t-shirt, logo at the top, design below. But why is that? Why does that work so well? Well, because the band t-shirt is there to advertise the band, right? This is Nihil Eternal. This is a made-up one, but still follows the same principles, where the thing you want to see first as you look at something is the most important thing. Like if you're designing something to be on a shelf, the first thing you want to see is to the left-hand side with the text to the right, because we read left to right in the Western world. And we also read top down, which is why we start with a big honking band logo up at the top. So that's the initial thought is hierarchy. We need to pay attention to design hierarchy. In what order would you like people to look at the elements in your design? The band logo comes first. This cool character, which might relate back to a lyric, or could be album art, could be something recognizable that the band have produced in the past, and wants to hark back to. And then you can have some smaller elements in there which might take more like a minute to appear, like some lyricism down the side or at the bottom or involved in the design. Think about the order in which, 1, 2, 3, what order would you like people to see the elements within this design, which is why we so often default to the logo at the top. Clarity, another point to consider. I think it's quite easy to end up with a whole hecking heap of elements all going on at the same time. So it's important to try and bring some visual clarity to something that can be quite chaotic. And I think, similar to the idea of visual hierarchy, you can bring your clarity to the design by having elements of different sizes. The most important element in this piece is the heart. Therefore, it's the biggest. That seems kind of obvious when you say it out loud like that, but it makes sense. You look at the big element, and here, like, you want to notice the heart first, and then note it afterward that it's being constricted and the chains are also all around it. The clarity of the logo here was an important one. We worked quite closely with the band because they have such an unreadable logo, Hidden Mothers. They're well aware that their logo is unreadable. It's purposefully so. Designed by Jamie Christ of Christworks, who you should totally check out as well. Legend. And we worked quite hard to give in this design, because it's quite busy and it's all one color, we worked quite hard to give this logo enough space to make it obvious that it is the logo, because you can see the design as a whole has quite similar shapes to the logo. Everything is quite up and down. So it would be quite easy. It was getting lost in there and some of the earlier designs, and then we gave it this kind of negative halo around in the back there, almost this kind of Akira style black explosion coming from behind the trees, which gives it the clarity that it needs to have the logo stand out there, even when the logo itself isn't the clearest thing. Oh, sneezing. Live TV, it's staying in. And this design here is testament to my third point, which is punch. So hierarchy, the order in which you see things. Punch, making clarity, second one, making things stand out enough and read as what they are rather than just being an incoherent mess. Even though the designs can be quite busy, they still need that clarity. And punch is what gets eyes on the prize. This bright green moon behind here, this huge big circle. Apparently this was a really well-selling design for, again, Hidden Mothers. It was a back piece, hence it's not got the logo on. The logo was on the pocket. And that bright green, big kind of simple shape in a vibrant color really grabbed attention. You could see it when I got to an early show where they still had these t-shirts, and you could see it on the merch table, and you could just see it from across the room. It really stood out, and I think that is an important one, because you want bands to sell plenty of the t-shirts that you designed for them. So it's not just enough to come up with something they're happy with. It needs to be something that the customers are happy with and the customers look at. They want to, they will be drawn to a design when they see it at the merch table and go, whoa, that looks crazy. And then they also want to wear something that other people think is cool as well. So by having that punch there, those vibrant colors, you can add that grab to your designs. That often does come in the form of colors, like a super crazy vibrant red, or there's a nice mint. I don't have any one up here, but there's like a nice minty color. Perhaps, I think, is only on one of my older designs, but yeah, like this one. If I open this up here, oh, it's gonna open up within there. Can I open this in here? Will you let me? My computer says no. Here we go. So that same kind of red, but that sort of blue, green, minty color in the background really pops when you see it printed on black. Also helps like having a good printer. The yellow and white is always a classic. Works really cool for like old school death metal stuff. And the yellow pops so hard. Pop, I shouldn't use that word, but it does. Like when you see it on a t-shirt, particularly on black. I think yellow is the one thing that's up there with the enough contrast to be at the same level as white, black on white. So for things like easier to read text, they quite often use yellow on black because it stands out so much. So that's a great one to use. I had an old Lorelei t-shirt, if you remember them, that looked absolutely sick with the yellow and white on black. And just, yeah, choosing those punchy colors when you get a chance, it really helps stuff to stand out on the black t-shirt, or often black t-shirt when you're designing for metal bands. And really like drive that design into burn it into the eyes of people who are watching. A note on rule breaking, as we will always do when designing for metal bands. There's always bands who want to do stuff different, and it's always nice to push the envelope a little bit. Particularly younger, more modern bands don't really want to do exactly what's come before. So we can still adhere to these principles somewhat whilst breaking the standard big logo at top, design at the bottom kind of thing. This still has that kind of idea behind it of hierarchy, because you do have larger element, smaller element, even smaller still, and you'll go through that, but you kind of like breaking the rules a bit on how things are laid out. This one is like a back piece, so no band logo included, but again, you don't always have to stick to the formula, but keeping the points in mind. Like this one has punch in mind. It's that super vibrant pinky red, which if it was printed nicely on a black t-shirt, that's a big part of it, is getting it printed nicely. Pins and Knuckles are sick in the UK, Vino Sangre, and Discordant Sun as well, screen printers, they're awesome. Snuggle, if you're looking for direct-to-garment stuff, they were awesome. I think there might be minimum orders, even though it's direct to garment, to use their higher quality printer. I think there's a minimum order quantity. You can get in touch with them about that. But yeah, they're sick as well. And yeah, that's basically what I wanted to go over today. Keep in mind when designing t-shirt designs, just bear in mind, like, oh, that is not the window thing. Bear in mind these 3 points. So hierarchy, what order do you want people to see things in? Clarity is, even though things can get messy, there's tons of texture, there's tons of elements going on. This has gone wrong. It's all gone wrong. I don't know how to work Photoshop. That'll do for now. Even though there's a ton of stuff going on, it's still important to drive that clarity home and make sure that people know what they're looking at. It's quite easy for stuff, particularly if it's like a one color design and there's a ton of things going on. it can be difficult to keep track of visually of like all the different elements. But over time, you'll get used to how to make that work. If you ever have any questions on a specific design that you're working on, then you can get in touch with me on Instagram. I'm always available in messages if you just want to run something by me. And final point is punch. Pick the right colors. Use big block areas of color if you can to grab attention. Contrast is a big attention grabber. Vibrancy is a big attention grabber, because you want the band that you're designing for to sell t-shirts. So to get eyes on is the way to do it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. If you like the textures and whatnot you've seen in the designs that I've shown you today, they're all available on my website, links in the description. I've got some fonts up there as well. I don't think any of these ones use my fonts, but you can go and look at them as well because they are nice and you should buy them. Please? Yes? Maybe? I hope so. I hope you found today's video useful. If you have any other questions or any unrelated questions related to graphic design, maybe not related to this video, or maybe you just want to know my favorite toothpaste brand, get in the comments and ask. I'll let you know what it is if you comment, I promise. And yeah, thank you so much for sticking around, checking this out. Thank you so much for the support as always. You guys rock. There will be another one of these coming same time next week. I hope you have a good one. Cheers.